So in today's video we're going to be doing an infill with gel polish. I have got some of the most gorgeous sparkly gel polishes that have ever been created. Sounds very dramatic, doesn't it? So grab a brew, take a seat and let's get started. And if you are new here, please do drop me a like and a follow. I'm doing new content for beginners all the time, and also I'm really open to suggestions, so if there's anything that you want to see, pop it in the comments. So these are the Besties nails. We are removing the colour first. Now it was just an infill. I think she'd only had them on a couple of weeks. So we're removing all of the gel polish and we are just taking that down. I'm trying to remove some of the apex as well, but not a load of it, because in all honesty they hadn't grown out enough for me to do a full reshape, as it were, or rebalance rather. So once I've done that, I will come back in a moment and we can talk through the prep process. So next step is to do a bit of reshaping. I like to do this before I do some of my prep, just because it just makes life a little bit easier. I'm started using metal files again, and the difference is just it's vast, it's fantastic. It just means the edges are so crispy and so sharp with much less effort, if that makes sense. This particular nail on the ring finger, sometimes when it grows out, it can, like, the shape can change a little bit, so I just wanted to make sure I was happy with the shape before I moved on, etc. And obviously applied the new product, because I find that if I do this I don't apply as much product, so again the end filing's a little bit easier. So I'll leave you to watch this again, and then I'll be back for the natural nail prep in a few moments. Also, you'll notice as well, while I am doing this, I am not filing her as sharp as I normally would do. She has a gorgeous dog who she's obviously worried about kind of impaling with her nails, as which is mine are always a little bit blunter, for the same reason. So I'll always try and accommodate what clients want, you know what I mean, regardless of how, you know what I mean, as much as I would love to make it as sharp as anything. It's just not always practical, and yeah, it just means that we're not going to be causing any damage to those around us if we want them a little bit more blunt. So next I go in with all of the usual prep. So I apply my powder. I'm lifting that cuticle area because I want to create a pocket for my e-file to go into so we can get all of our usual prep done. The powder that I'm using is, I think it's Soft and Gentle. If you go to my Amazon storefront, it's all on there. That should be the link in the bio. But yeah, basically we're just lifting that up, and the powder will actually dehydrate that a little bit more. In the UK, they don't have, I think we don't sell talc with, sorry, powders with talc in it anymore, or the active ingredient talc. However, I know in other countries they do. So if you are going to use this in a manicure, please do try and find a talc-free talc. Just for extra safety, we don't want to be using kind of anything that contains talc on clients because I believe it's been known to cause cancers, etc. in the past. So. So next we're getting that e-file right into that pocket there to really lift it up. I'm being very gentle. Because of the powder, it makes it easy to go over the surface of the nail as well. But basically I am just lifting that pocket a little bit more, and I am cleaning the nail, any kind of non-living tissue off the nail plate. I find if I do it in reverse down the left-hand side, then forward down the right-hand side, I can really get in there just so much easier. Also, I have started, I'm doing a few different courses for Russian manicure, and I'm learning different ones from each, different things from each one. But the one that I'm using at the moment is on Udemy, I think. And I mean, to be honest, it's more aggressive than I would like to do, but there are some really useful bits and pieces in it. So, for example, using the brush to clean out that pocket and lift the pocket a little bit while you're working makes life so much easier. So now you'll probably notice in a lot of my videos going forward that I've got a brush constantly hooked onto my finger, my little finger, when I'm doing this particular prep, just because I can, especially I like a firm brush as well, because it really lifts that cuticle pocket a little bit more, just to make sure there's nothing attached there. As always, the next step will be to use our cuticle scissors. These ones are from Katie Barnes. I mean, what more can I say? I know I rave about them every time, but I love them. They're ergonomic, comfortable to hold, very lightweight. I have 3 pairs, but only because I don't want. I've done it before where I used to only have 1 pair and I dropped it. And I didn't have, I've got like a little bit of rubber that I keep on the top to keep them safe. So that won't happen again. But also it means that I can cleanse them in between clients. So if I've got a few people in the run on that day, it means that I don't have to use the same pair of scissors. You know what I mean? Or kind of rush home and sanitize them, because obviously I do a full sterilization and sanitization on all of my products. And while we're here as well, I'll go over the how I do clean my tools. So basically, I will clean it with a scrubbing brush and like an antibacterial soap first. So I'll really get all those little bits of product out of there. I sometimes use a metal brush as well on my coarser refile bits, just because I find that it really gets in there. So I will give them a good scrub, then just like like an antibacterial soap. I'll make sure they're fully cleaned with that, so that cleans off kind of any bacteria. I then soak them in my Mondo solution. You could use Barbicide as well for around about 20 minutes. Then some people will put them in an autoclave. I will normally dry them off and then spray them with one of my tool sanitizing sprays, and then I'll pop them in a little packet just so they're ready for the next client. So here I'm just going back in with that same e-file bit. I need to get some rounder ones, or not round ones necessarily, but some ones that I can kind of really polish the skin with, because you can do it with this bit, but I personally don't find it that easy. And obviously I'm always kind of worried about, getting the pointy end either in the skin or on the nail. I've never done it, but I just think it would be so much easier and quicker if I had some proper buffing bits. I've got one, so I need to order one more of that. But again, this is the issue when I have a few clients on the run. I need to make sure I've got some spares. I only ever buy like the same bit, so I've usually just got a coarse bit, like a safety top bit for finish filing, so quite a fine grit, and then flame bits. I think that's about it really. And I do have sanding bands, but to be honest, I'm using them less and less. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have. Next step is to dehydrate and prime. I just use a dehydrator really from anywhere, it doesn't matter. Any dehydrator will do. This one is from Bexy Glow, it's really good, just because I like the bottle and I like the applicator, and I really like to scrub that in, wait for that to dry down, and then I'll go in with 2 coats of my Young Nails Protein Bond. With the protein bond, I will always wait for a few seconds before I start applying the product, and I'll also wait for my dehydrator to be completely dry before I apply it, and I'm only applying it to that regrowth area. I don't need it on the rest of the acrylic, because acrylic likes to stick to acrylic, it just doesn't always like to stick to nails. So this gives you that extra insurance. Then you'll want to infill the product. So we're just putting a tiny little bead by that cuticle, blending it over. I always tuck it in at the cuticle first, try not to touch that apex area, and then I'll blend it down over the rest of the nail. So again, I'll talk you through that when I get through it. I do faff about a lot, I know that, but this really does help with my filing in the long run. And it just means I can really tuck that in where I want it, and I don't have to, spend hours filing afterwards. So here we go again. I've allowed it to polymerise on my brush for a moment, place the bead on the nail, just a tiny little bead. It's probably, you know what I mean, it's nothing really. I think I went and did go in and add some more with this one, but then I'll blend it down. But you'll see, because I've allowed it to polymerise and I'm not just put it on and then just wiped it down, I'm not wiping away my apex. Just try and it's about finding that kind of almost the right time, so almost like the biting point. I was concerned about the apex on this one, so I just added a touch more. And I'm really lightly blending that over. Just means that kind of my spine or the structure of the nail is a bit stronger. So next step is our filing. So we are going to go around the cuticle first. I don't really believe in sealing the cuticle. I know people talk about it a lot, but I'm not precious about it. I love this e-file bit as well because it's really fine, but it's like a 5-in-1, I think it's called. So it's really fine at the end of the thing, and then the e-file, but then at the base it's a little bit more coarse. And for doing a nail like this, it's just the right shape. I don't know, it just works really well. So this is, like I was saying before, I only have a few e-file bits. This is probably one of my favourites, that and like the round top safety bit. But yeah, because it's really fine. It's really safe to use by the cuticle. Also, you want to try and use your e-file to as much as possible to minimise the hand filing that you'll need to do. When you are hand filing, you will if you use the same routine every single time, it'll make life so much easier. So I do the free edge first, then down the right hand side of the nail, then down the left hand side of the nail, and then a bevel over the middle. Now, I do have ADHD, so I can be a bit scatty at times, and I may kind of bounce back and forth, but that's ideally what I'll try and do. I think I had a little bit I wanted to make sure that wasn't on the skin, which it wasn't, but again, always make sure, because if it's on the skin, you're going to get some lifting. But yeah, so I just wanted to make sure that was totally clean around the cuticle. Also, you don't want to bump by the cuticle. What you want is you want it to kind of look like it's growing out of the cuticle, like almost like your natural nail. So that's one of the reasons that I go around with a hand file like this after my e-file, just because it gives a really nice shape. But like I said, I don't ever think that, like, really consider myself to be sealing the cuticle as such. I think that's kind of quite a new thing. I understand why people say it, but it's just not something I really think that I'm doing. I'm just shaping the cuticle just to make sure it's kind of nice and smooth. There aren't any bumps, again, which can cause lifting. So yeah, I'm just smoothing it off, I suppose. I've left this bit in as well because it's probably one of my favourite bits to do. So I've got kind of like I think it's a diamond bit or like a cone bit, and I'm going underneath the nail to remove the natural nail and also thin out the natural nail. Now, the reason that I do this is because you can have lifting caused by that, because her nails are curving down now, because this is like, I think, our first or second infill. It means that they're kind of curving down, so water can get in there. It can cause lifting, all sorts. So I just wanted to leave that in so you can see what I do just to prevent lifting as well from that edge. I highly recommend doing that, and yeah, really, really recommend doing that. It makes such a difference. Once I've done all of that, I will go give it a really, really good cleanse. In fact, I think my client actually nipped to the bathroom and washed her hands. And then we're going in with our gel. So I'll leave you to watch the gel. This is a reflective gel, so in the daylight, it just looks really beautiful and it's got a lovely little sparkle. But under really strong lights, it's gorgeous. Like it's just beautiful. I think I've included a picture of the gel polish with flash at the end. So the first one, the rose gold one, is from Rockstar Rye Nails. And this one is from Hayley Winder and it's called Oreo, I think. And it's hard to explain it because, like, just right now, it just looks like it's kind of like a slightly gritty. You'll notice I'm trying to do is a really light touch to really kind of... It just means that it's got better coverage. You'll see here again. So I think I did alternative fingers on each hand because that's what the client wanted. And it did look really nice in the end as well, actually. So what we did was like I said, I put it in and I'm trying to, although the first coat I will kind of wipe it down, I'm using a really light touch, just because with glitters like this you can end up with them looking patchy if you're not careful. So yeah, I will go ahead. I do 2 coats of both. And also I wiped off the sides. Just be really careful when you're doing this. Either use a tool or use a gloved hand. And don't, I would, if I was doing another set, I would change my gloves anyway. But obviously we don't want that product sitting on your gloved hand because it will eventually soak through the glove. So, and like I say, I like to wipe it off before it goes in the lamp first, just because it helps with the shape and it means that I don't really need to file afterwards. And this is the final look. So, like I say, we have rose gold on the middle fingers and the Hayley Winder polish on the other ones, and I'm just in love with it, and this is it with the flash. I hope that helps. If you've got any questions, let me know in the comments, and thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.